ずき嘘だろ誰か坂持ってこい
Mahiro and Chisato might look like a harmless pair of sisters, but they've been working as part-time assassins since high school to fund their otaku lifestyle. When they graduated, though, the Assassin Guild required them to spend some time working regular jobs to gain real-world experience. However, thanks to their antisocial tendencies, they managed to stir up plenty of trouble along the way. Despite the hiccups, their high performance got them past the guild's entry assessment. In Japan's fiercely competitive society, even the world of assassination has its levels. Mahiro and Chisato are officially classified as professionals, complete with monthly assignments and an aftercare team that handles all traces once the job is done. In short, they've landed themselves a true golden job. In contrast, amateur assassins don't have it so easy. They work long hours on nightmare assignments and still find themselves frustrated, wondering why their supposedly low-paying jobs have hell-level difficulty.
ちょっと待ってあれ広がり一人って言ってなかったっけ
そうだよね
連絡の行き違いかなまあよくあるよない
やあっちゃダメだろ
The duo's sudden entrance put the enemy on high alert. However, their scrawny appearances quickly lead the opposition to underestimate them. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, they charge in. After all, they've already taken the job, and backing out would ruin their reputation. Following a brutal struggle, they finally eliminate everyone in the room, but they're left with a grim scene to clean up. To make things worse, a communication mix-up means that, not only did they not get paid, but they're now stuck covering the cleanup costs. For this, their middleman Mr. Akaji felt deeply apologetic. He apologizes, but reminds them that amateurs work without the same guarantees that pros have. Professional assassins can appeal to the guild if things go wrong, but for amateurs, it's a free-for-all. The middleman's words struck a deep chord with them both. Inspired, Makoto and Yuri decide they're ready to level up and become professionals, though competition is fierce, but with professional assassin spots in short supply. If they couldn't stand out, they'd have to take a risky gamble. According to a rumor Mr. Akaji shared, secretly taking out an active professional assassin would open up a spot. That way, the two of them could smoothly step in and take the position. Their confidence soared even more when they saw that the targets were two female assassins. Little did they know, professional assassins like Mahiro and Chisato had their own set of headaches. After earning enough each month to fund their otaku lifestyles, they'd usually slack off, embracing their laid-back, geeky routines. But there was one thing they hadn't anticipated: the annual Assassin Guild membership fees. Over the past 4 years, they'd racked up nearly 4 million yen in overdue fees. If they missed the deadline of 3 p.m. the next day, they'd face a 30% penalty and be barred from receiving new assignments. The following day, they were still binging their favorite shows when they remembered this urgent matter. Rushing to the bank just in time, they thought they were in the clear until, of all things, robbers stormed in. While ordinary people might freeze up in fear, Mahiro and Chisato were more annoyed than anything, hoping the robbers would hurry up so they could make their transfer on time. But these two bumbling thieves didn't exactly have their act together, prompting Chisato to bark at them to step it up, professionally. Unbeknownst to the robbers, trying to act tough only works if you know who you're up against. Chisato, with her famously short fuse, knew she wasn't supposed to get physical outside of official missions, but her patience had hit its limit. Naturally, her best friend Mahiro was ready to back her up. The robbers, thinking they were dealing with a couple of spoiled Gen Z girls, had no clue they were about to face a pair of elite, unflinching professionals. Although they'd managed to handle the immediate threat, Mahiro and Chisato still needed to complete their bank transfer ASAP. Unfortunately, the bank staff were now cowering in the corner, terrified by the duo's fierce display. In the end, Not only did they miss the transfer deadline, but they also landed in hot water with the authorities. The Assassin Guild had to step in to bail them out, which meant additional fees, penalties, and cleanup costs that completely drained their savings and even left them in debt. To make things worse, the guild decided to suspend their contracts, effectively cutting off their paychecks. Forced to survive on their own, Mahiro and Chisato had no choice but to take odd jobs. A huge step down for elite assassins who once only did this to blend into society as part of their training. Now, they were scraping by just to keep food on the table, and even after a hard day's work, their earnings barely made up 1% of what they'd pull in from a single hit. Then Chisato noticed a street gambling stall and had a wild idea. Maybe a lucky break could change everything. Predictably, though, she lost everything they'd earned within 5 minutes, leading to tensions between the two who didn't even notice they were being followed. Meanwhile, amateurs Makoto and Yuri were confident this was their chance to take down the famous duo and finally secure a professional spot, but they severely underestimated the skill of the fiery sisters. Mahiro and Chisato, working in flawless sync, overpowered them in under 10 seconds. Afterward, they brushed off the attempt as rookie incompetence, hardly worthy of their skills. Chisato wanted to eliminate the two, but Mahiro reminded her that, as suspended members, they couldn't kill and would have to call the guild's cleanup team instead. Tanaka, their cleanup handler, showed no sympathy, explaining that suspended assassins had to cover their own cleanup costs unless they could provide proof of life-threatening gunshot wounds, a detail Mahiro and Chisato had no interest in faking. As the four of them kept talking, their conversation drifted off topic and grew animated, so much so that they didn't notice Makoto and Yuri slowly coming to their senses nearby. Taking advantage of the moment, the two amateurs knocked out the cleanup agent and made a stealthy escape. This unexpected slip-up put the blame squarely on Tanaka, the cleanup handler, who never anticipated such a chaotic turn of events. Being non-combat staff, he wasn't exactly equipped to chase down two fleeing assassins. Sensing an opportunity, Mahiro and Chisato offered to lend a hand. They all split up to track down the escapees. Unfortunately for Tanaka, he ran into Makoto and Yuri himself and, being unarmed, took a bullet to the abdomen. Things spiraled out of control fast. Their middleman, Mr. Akoji, was in a panic. What should have been a low-profile operation had escalated, practically declaring war on the guild. A confrontation like this would only lead to one outcome, a dead end. Mr. Akaji's death made the two realize they had become public enemies, hunted like rats on the street. However, Mr. Akaji had been their mentor, the one who brought them into the business. With things at this point, they decided to risk it all for one last shot. After filling up on food and drink, they set out to find Mahiro and Chisato for revenge. But as fate would have it, Mahiro and Chisato showed up at the very same restaurant. They thought that with a change of clothes and some light disguises, they'd go unnoticed. Little did they know, while Mahiro and Chisato might be geeky, they were far from blind or stupid.
動いたら殺す。騒ぎ起こしたくないんでしょ。何が目的？なんかの支援？あれ？口縫い付けられちゃった。
The saying goes, strike first to gain the upper hand. These two sharp-minded guys were far more alert than the spirited girls they were up against. To Chisato's surprise, Mahiro had managed to dodge the bullet just in time, only grazing her shoulder. Deciding it was time to get rid of these two persistent problems, Mahiro and Chisato began tracking them down, following their every move. Yet, bound by assassin rules, they knew that any unauthorized kill during their suspension could lead to permanent expulsion. So, they reached out to their supervisor, Mr. Susano, for approval. Unfortunately, Mr. Susano was as by the book as they came and couldn't find a legitimate reason to greenlight the job. At this point, however, the female cleanup handler had an idea. She could commission Mahiro and Chisato to eliminate the two rogues as an act of revenge for their injured colleague. Tanaka, typically someone who avoided drama, was furious after barely escaping death and fully supported the idea.
どんなに汚い現場でも俺と宮内さんでピカピカにしてやるからな。
おうおう任しとけい。
俺の腹を打ったクソ野郎どもぶち殺してきてください。
了解っす。
With the green light, an intense showdown was set in motion. As the battle raged on, one couldn't help but recall rumors of a strange gunfighting style said to originate from Southeast Asia. Fighters trained in this style moved with an otherworldly grace. Their shots seeming to defy physics, bullets flew straight but miraculously avoided hitting the target, looping around as if drawn to the tension. It was an eerie, almost mystical technique, and in this showdown, both sides proved to be each other's equal. It ended with both sides taking a hit, a brutal stalemate leaving each team down a member. But rather than dampen their spirits, it only fueled their fighting resolve. Finally, each side chose their last standing member for a one-on-one, winner-takes-all duel. Mahiro was caught off guard when her guillotine strike, an unblockable move, was evaded by her opponent with a swift handstand maneuver. Impressed, she saw her foe in a new light. With one final clash, Mahiro emerged the victor, though barely standing, her strength drained. Seeing all this, Yuri accepted his fate. He walked over and lay down beside his injured partner, Makoto, ready to face death with a calm dignity. In the assassin's world, they were just like ordinary people, struggling for a dream of a better life. Both sides shared no real grudge. They could have just as easily been allies. They might have dreamed of fairy tale lives, but fate hadn't given them fairy tale endings. In the end, the hardest battle is learning to accept the harshness of reality.